take it. Hello guys, and welcome to part 2 of this fake height tutorial. Today we're gonna create some cool debris for our melon, and maybe we're also gonna create a bomb. I don't know, we're gonna see. But let me just quickly show you where we're at. Wow, our melon is flying, but we need some splatter. We need some of that cool debris I showed you last time. You might have noticed that I've added some stripes to the melon, and I just did that by duplicating the body and just turning down the color and scaling and stuff, just to make the melon a little more interesting. But anyways, let's go into our debris dispenser script. Alright, in the last video we added this dispense debris function, but we didn't add anything to it, so that's what we're gonna do now. Alright, so first we need some references to our debris particle, and we're gonna create that in Unity in just a moment. And we're also gonna need a reference to our debris mark. The mark is gonna be like a mark on the ground after the melon has splattered all over the place. Alright, and then we're gonna need some colors. Public color, debris particle color. And then we're gonna need another color, debris mark color. Wow. And then we're gonna need some variables defining the velocity which the debris is gonna be dispensed. So public vector2 debris ground velocity range. And then we're gonna need another one. We're gonna call this debris vertical velocity range. And then we're gonna need some variables that define the size of the particles and marks. So public vector2 debris particle size range and debris mark size range. And at last we're gonna need, and then at last we will need a variable defining how many debris particles we're gonna spawn. So public vector2 debris amount range. All right, I think that's good. So let's go into Unity and see. Okay, perfect. So one thing I'm gonna do is add min-max sliders to these values right here. You can go watch a video. I'll link it up in the corner and in the description on how to add those. It's simply a convenience. You can do it without. So just a second. Alright, as you can see, it is very handy. So I would highly recommend that you install that package. One thing I've noticed is that debris amount range is a float vector, and we can't spawn 2.5 particles. That wouldn't make any sense. So let's quickly change that to a vector2 integer. Right, and now it will look like this. Perfect. So now let's create our debris particle, and that's going to be very simple. Let's actually just duplicate our melon and call this debris particle and edit it. And now let's just remove the details and set the color of this to white and the size to 1 and 1. And let's just keep the shadows color and set the scale of it to be also 1. And that's going to be our debris particle. Perfect. And now let's create our debris mark. Let's duplicate this again and call this debris mark. And the debris mark is not going to have the fake height object on it. Remove. And it is not going to have a debris dispenser on it. And the same goes for the debris particle. So let's remove the debris dispenser from the debris particle. All right. And now we're all set with these. So let's go on to our melon and drag them onto our debris dispenser script. Okay, and now let's set the color of the debris particle. And I think it's gonna be something like this. I'm not sure, but I think it's gonna be all right. And let's remember to set the alpha value to 255 because else it will be completely transparent. So 255. All right, now let's go back into our debris dispenser script and dispense some debris. So in here, let's first determine the amount of debris we're going to dispense. So it's going to be a random range between the two values that we've defined in the inspector. So int debris amount will be equals to random.range debris amount range.x to debris amount range.y. All right. And now we're going to create a for loop. So for int I is equals 0, I is less than debris amount I plus. Let's first instantiate the debris mark. So let's say game object instantiated debris mark will be equals to instantiate debris mark at transform.position and quaternion.identity. Actually, we might not want a debris mark at all for a specific object. For example, an arrow wouldn't leave like a big mark. So let's first check if debris mark isn't equals to null. Then we will instantiate it. This way we don't have to assign the debris mark on every fake height object we create. So if we create an arrow, for example, we don't want this debris mark. So that's nice. All right, and let's set the color of the instantiated debris mark. So instantiate debris mark dot get component sprite renderer dot color, and we'll set that to debris mark color. And we are also going to set the size of this debris mark. So instantiated debris mark dot transform dot local scale will be equals to vector 3.1 times random dot range, and we're gonna say debris mark size dot x and debris mark size dot y. There we go. So why don't we see what happens now? All right, we're getting an error. It says, what does it say? There is no sprite renderer attached to the debris mark game object. Oh yeah, we actually have to, what am I even doing? We have to just let the debris mark be a sprite. We don't have to have this structure. So let's quickly redo the debris mark. So let's remove this and go into the graphics folder and get the 1 pixel sprite and call this debris mark. And that's just gonna be it actually. So let's just drag it in. All right, and drag the new debris mark over to our reference over here. And let's play again. Okay, good, perfect. Now we got a little bit of splatter. We can paint the whole screen red. Okay, so that was a complete waste of time. Let's go into a debris dispenser script and create our particles. Oh wait, this is a mistake. Why are we instantiating this in the for loop? Look at this. Look at how many marks get instantiated. Alright, that doesn't make any sense. So let's just move this outside of the for loop. Okay. Perfect. So now only one mark should be instantiated each time. There we go. Perfect. So in the for loop, instead of instantiating 17 marks, we're going to instantiate a lot of particles. So let's do that. So let's say fake height object instantiated debris particle, and set that to instantiate debris particle transform.position and quaternion.identity. And then we're gonna say .get component fake height object. All right. And now let's set the scale of this debris particle. So instantiated debris particle .transform.local scale, and we'll set that to vector 3.1 times random range debris particle size range .x and debris particle size range .y. Okay, and now let's set the color of this instantiated debris particle, and we're going to do that by grabbing the trans body, so the body of the fake height object of our debris particle, so we can get access to the sprite renderer. And let's set its color to be debris particle color. Alright, so now let's initialize the fake height object of our debris particle. So instantiated debris particle dot initialize, and in here we're gonna plug in a random dot inside unit circle for now times random dot range ground velocity range dot x to debris ground velocity range dot y. And for the velocity, we're gonna plug in random dot range. Let me just make this a new line. Debris vertical velocity range dot x and debris vertical velocity range dot y. Alright, so now we should have some particles instantiated when our melon splats on the ground. So let's take a look. Yeah, that's good. That's what we're looking for. Now the debris particles are a little bit too big, and maybe also the mark, but you know, we can quickly tweak that. So let's click on our melon prefab and go down here and maybe set the particle size to be something along these lines and the mark size to be a bit smaller, maybe something like this. And let's see how this looks. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now one thing we have to do is we have to make the debris particles stick to the ground. So let's do that. Go over to our debris particle prefab, and instead of destroying it, let's remove this function. So let's click fake height object and stick. All right. Nice. Perfect. Now we got some splatter on the ground. One thing that you might have noticed from my example project is that the debris of the melon are actually dispensed in the same direction. And that gives it a very cool effect. And that is what we're gonna do now. So let's go back into a debris dispenser script. So one thing that we need to know is the direction that the melon is moving. So let's create a vector 2 for that, and let's call that move direction. And to determine the move direction, we need to know the last position of our melon or fake height object. So vector 2 last position. Alright, so we're gonna need a void update and a void late update. In the late update, we're gonna set the last position. So last position will be equals to transform.position. And then in the update function, we're gonna say move direction is equals to transform.position minus our last position. So, and we have to cast this to a vector 2, and we are also gonna normalize this. So dot normalized. All right. And now we got our move direction. So instead of setting the direction of our instantiated debris to some random value, let's set it to move direction and still multiply it by this. So let's see how that looks. As you can see, our debris gets instantiated in the move direction of the melon. And that is what we want. Now we just need some randomness to the direction. So let's do that now. So let's go up to our variables and add another variable and call this public int debris dispense degrees. So this is gonna determine the size of the cone. So if it is 360, then the debris will get dispensed all over the place. And if it is 45 degrees, it will be, you know, something like this. All right. We actually need another direction, and we're gonna call this private vector2 debris direction. All right, so down here we're gonna say float randomized direction angle. Now stay with me, guys. This is gonna be a little bit confusing, but I'm gonna try to explain it as best as I can. So we're gonna say mathf.atan2 move direction dot y and move direction dot x. So what we're doing here is we're using the arctan function to get our direction in radians. And then we're gonna add our random angle to this. So random.range minus, what do we call this? We called it debris dispense degrees. So debris dispense degrees divided by 2 to debris dispense degrees divided by 2. Okay. And we are gonna convert this to radians. So let's multiply this by mathf dot degree to rad. All right. And then we of course have tons of confusing brackets. So let's get a hold of these. So we get our move direction. We need a bracket right here. And maybe that is all. Yeah, I don't think we need these actually. Yeah, we can remove these. And yeah, I think that's good. So now we got our randomized direction angle, and let's convert this angle to a vector again. So let's say debris direction dot x will be equals to mathf dot cosine, and we're gonna plug in our randomized direction angle, and then we're gonna say debris direction dot y will be equals to mathf dot sine, and we will plug in our randomized direction angle again, and then let's just normalize this. All right, and I think we have to say debris direction equals to new vector 2. Okay, good. Or else I think we'll get some errors, but I'm not sure. But now we should have a little bit of a cone. So let's see in Unity. Let's go over to our melon and define some debris dispense degrees, and let's set this to be 45. And let's see what happens. And I think it works. Does it work? No, it doesn't work. And I know why. We forgot to plug in our debris direction in here, so let's do that. All right. Now it should work. Okay, perfect. This works. And this works very well, I think. So that is very nice. And just as a cherry on top, let's create a bomb. So let's duplicate this melon and call it bomb. And let's change the look of this bomb so it doesn't look like a melon. Let's set the color to be gray and add some detail. And let's make sure the ordon layer is so there aren't any bugs. All right, perfect. And we're just gonna change the color of the debris particles and marks. So let's set this to something dark. All right. And let's set the debris dispense degrees to be 360 because we want the particles to go all over the place when the bomb explodes. And let's set the velocity to something crazy. All right. And the particle size, yeah, I think this is good. And the amount is going to be a lot. All right, and now we got a little bomb. So let's go on to our dude and plug in our bomb. It says melon, and we plugged in a bomb. What? Do we have to apply something? What's going on? We have to go onto our dude right here. Oh yeah, and then we drag over our bomb. And let's see. Yeah, that's good. Absolutely magnificent. Now, it of course needs some sort of small little explosion, but maybe that's something you can play around with and try to create. So now let's also see how our melon looks, just for the sake of it. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And our bomb. Wait, what happened if we... What? Wait. Look at this. What's happening? Alright, anyways. Let's see our bomb again. Very nice, perfect, beautiful, absolutely magnificent. Thank you guys. Give a clap on your own shoulder. Very good job if you came this far. For the next one, we'll try to create an arrow and maybe also add some explosion effects. I don't know, but we're gonna see, and subscribe to get notified when the next video comes out. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.